You know, there's between 75 million and 100 million people that need a wheelchair and can't afford it in the world. About 15 years ago, I got invited to go to a ministry that had to do with wheelchairs. And I was starting my own business here in Central Florida. I have a wife and I have 4 children. And I wasn't looking for a new adventure. I just was invited by a friend, and somehow, some way, that's the way things start. They don't start grandly. I didn't know the impact this was going to have. But I was invited to go on a private plane that was owned by Ken Behring. We dropped down in Mexico City. I had never been to Mexico City, but those couple days changed my life because I was actually there on a mission of mercy to give people mobility, something that they lacked, anywhere from age 3-year-old to 90-year-olds. So we stayed in a nice hotel. We got up in the morning and we went to the middle of town, the middle of the city, and to this big park. And there was about 5 or 6 sort of bolt together tables sitting in the middle of the park, and some well-dressed people behind it. Looked all very organized. And there was a big semi-truck full of these white boxes. And inside those white boxes were the gifts that were going to change people's lives. They were new wheelchairs, from size 12 to size 20. We met with the school kids, and I couldn't speak Spanish, which made it kind of fun. But we knew what we were there to do, assemble wheelchairs and pump them full of air and get them ready, so we did that. That took about an hour, and went back to the tables, and there was this line around the block, about a block and a half. All sorts of different medical conditions. A lot of them were carried. It was so overwhelming. I couldn't quite take it all in. And the only way I could is they called my name and they said, "Glenn, can you go take a wheelchair over to this family over here?" And they just pointed. And then they were smart enough to assign me a translator, and went over and learned from the family that they had needed a chair for 7 years. So I put her into the chair, and that act was monumental for me. So they start crying, I start crying, and I don't cry a whole lot. And it was just such a moment that I couldn't quite understand. They're hugging me and they're telling me what an angel I am, and they can't believe that I'd come all the way from the United States to give them this wheelchair. I couldn't wait to get back home and see if I could do something more. Because I said, I found a sense of purpose. I had a sense of purpose about making money and building a company, and God was blessing that. But you have to have a purpose on why you're making the money. Once beyond you take care of your family needs, what else is there? And I said, I want to help change people's lives through this ministry of mobility. And after about 5 or 6 years, I said, this is something we can do here, right here in Central Florida. So we became partners with our very first charity we worked with, the Wheelchair Foundation. We still are to this day very, very tight. We work together with them, but by actually doing it our own, we could do it our own in a more sort of spiritual way, and bring in the love of God and make that the basis of why we're doing it. We want to be His arms and legs here. That's what we're told to do. But I want to share with you a couple things. One story particularly was Abdul, and Abdul was in Tanzania. I had never been to Tanzania before this trip. It was a very strange trip for us because it was a safari operator that actually contacted us to do a distribution. Usually we're contacting them. So we thought that, oh, it was this guy that was just trying to sell us on a safari. But it turns out that they had done a distribution about 12 years before with our partners in the Wheelchair Foundation. And they were looking all over. They wanted to do another one. They couldn't get them back on the phone. They found us, and we said, oh my goodness, because they had distribution. They understood what all the villages needed all around them. So on this ride, we get further and further and further into the country, and we get into this little town. And the only reason you could tell it was a town was there was just a dirt road that was extra wide. That's how you could tell. And there was maybe a dozen houses. We come to this, it's dung and dirt. That's all it was, with strips of wood to hold it all together. The whole house was about 10 feet by 20 feet with a tin roof. And the first room, we peeked in, and it was really dark, and there was one blanket on the floor, very heavily soiled. And an adult, 24-year-old adult, Abdul, is on the floor, just laying there. The flies are buzzing around. It's about 90 degrees. The next room is where the mother sat. There was just a curtain between it, but that was her bedroom. That was also where the kitchen was and all of that. They had been in that place 21 years. So we got the chair outside all put together. By then there was about 20, 25 kids all behind us, just looking around. They knew this guy because they had been part of the village for 21 years. We brought him out and his eyes started blinking because he had to adjust to the new light. And the mother was crying. We were crying. And to me, that was the message of exactly what I wanted this to be, was for coming out of the darkness into the light. His daily routine is not going to be laying on that floor. It's going to be being out in the sunlight, and it's going to change his life. I just want to say this, is that there's all sorts of needs around you. There's certain thing that God puts in your way and say, hey, notice this, notice this, notice this. And you can't unnotice it because you understand that what our purpose in life is to reflect His love. And that's all we want to do at Share the Love. And so I'd love everybody that's hearing this or viewing this to be part of this or be part of something that you start. I tell you, the joy is just fantastic. I'm so blessed to do this. I could never imagine that I would work and retire and now have the opportunity to do this. My heart's so full. I just love the opportunity to talk about it.